spot you guys have up here.
It's the country club of racing, as I like to call it.
So, Green, we don't have a lot of time, but we want to have as much fan interaction out there. So if you have a question for Graham, start thinking about that right now. What I want to ask you first is, first of all, Texas is a unique track, and it might appear to be an easy track for you guys to come to and race at, but I think you're going to tell me a totally different answer. So talk a little bit about what it's like to race at Texas Motor Speedway and in IndyCar, and some of the struggles you might have.
Well, I mean, this place used to be pretty easy for us. I think the grip of the track was higher. Certainly the tire grip was significantly higher. And of course the downforce levels. I think the old IndyCar, we used to develop a lot of downforce around here. And in recent times, after we lost our friend Dan Weldon 2 years ago in Las Vegas, we all said, look, we have to take a step back. We cannot race the same way anymore. There was a lot of discussion about the fencing and the way the fences are built. And the fence here is built the same way that it is in Vegas, which is the pole is exposed before the fence. And Dan hit his head on one of the poles, which is ultimately killed him. So we thought we have to make some changes here. So Firestone developed some tires that didn't have the amount of grip, so the cars would slide around a lot more. IndyCar took away several hundred pounds of downforce. So again, the cars were sliding around like crazy. And this year, and so the race last year was that way, and I think it was a great race. And this year we've gone even further, which has made it, I must tell you, so far today, it has been very difficult. Which is exactly what everybody wants to see, but we'll see how it is tonight. Earlier today when we ran, it was 12:30, it was hotter than heck, as all of you guys know, and now it's going to cool off a little bit, and so hopefully the track will gain a little more grip.
I gotta ask you, you were so close last year. You were literally like 2 miles away from winning Firestone 550 last year, and just the slightest, whatever you want to call it, brushed the wall, came in second place. Talk a little bit about that. Take us through that. Just talk about what it's like the last 10 to 15 laps of your body, the car. I mean, there's several factors.
Well, yeah. It was an interesting race for me. I started right up the front. I took off at the start with my teammate Scott Dixon. We left everybody. It went yellow, and once the NASCAR truck rubber kind of came off, because remember, they'll race tonight. So then when we race tomorrow afternoon, their rubber will still be on the track, and it's pretty different for us from the Goodyear to what we run and the Firestone and stuff. So it makes it pretty tricky. But for whatever reason, my car was working really well at the start. And the two of us took off. The sun went down, the track got cooler, it changed a bit, and all of a sudden I was very unhappy. And I faded back, until 9th, 10th, something like that. And I thought that, our race was all but over. Well, next thing I know, my car, instantly comes right back to me. I charge back up to the front, and with about, I want to say about 40 laps to go, or 45 to go, we had a restart. And I said to myself, I'm going to do one of two things here. I'm either going to win or I'm going to crash. And I was almost right on both occasions.
Very close, very close.
But I said that to myself, and on the restart, I quickly moved forward. I got up to the lead with 30 laps to go, 28 to go, and pretty well took off. I didn't know, they were telling me on the radio about 5 to go, 6 to go, hey, Justin's coming, he's coming fast, he's coming fast. So I started pushing a little bit harder, and unfortunately I made a mistake. When I went back and watched the tape, I probably didn't need to push any harder. He wasn't really catching me, but other than when we were in traffic. But I was proud of the team because, like I said, with 75 or 100 laps to go, I thought there was no way that we'd ever be in that spot. And we almost won it. So hopefully this year we can do one better. Unfortunately, we're going to be starting towards the back. The car was really good qualifying. It was just dead slow, which, sometimes that happens. We call it slow car syndrome, and you don't know exactly what it is. But hopefully the race will be all right.
So you can win tomorrow.
You can win from anywhere without a doubt. I mean, the tires are going to go off like crazy. We are going to be hanging on here tomorrow. And so, if we're hanging on a little less than the others, we'll be looking good.
Fans, questions from the audience? Anything for Graham? Anybody? I can talk all day with him, but
You gonna win tomorrow?
Opportunity.
You gonna pull it out and win tomorrow?
We gotta do one better than last year, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal. I've had good runs here in the past, and I've had bad ones, but I hope that one will be a highlight.
Graham, I gotta ask this. Are you a fan of maybe an IndyCar going to a green, white checkered instead of a yellow flag?
Highly sensitive subject right now with the Indy 500 finishing under green. Your thoughts?
Well,
Or finishing under yellow, excuse me.
the Indy 500 is called the Indy 500.
I would
It's not
agree.
called the Indy 505 or the
Totally
Indy
agree.
510. And we can't. I mean, it's a hard one to say because I would imagine that a lot of the people in this room are NASCAR fans. So for me, it's a tricky subject because from my perspective, there's a lot of things NASCAR does to make it add drama. The double file restarts, for instance, right? It's great for NASCAR. For us, it's just with the open wheels. It's just it's dangerous to many. We've done it before. We do it on all our road courses. We do it on the majority of the ovals. We don't do it at Indy because at Indy we did it a couple of years and it was absolutely insane. And when you're talking about the speeds as fast as they are at Indy, upwards of 240 miles an hour on the straightaways, it's significantly faster. But am I a fan of the green white checkered? I'm not against it at certain times. Here, sure. But at Indy, no. Indy is 500 miles. That's as far as I see it. Things happen. Dario Franchitti's won 3 Indianapolis 500s. He's never won one under green. It just happens. It's part of it.
Any other questions from the audience? Graham, what's your favorite part about coming to Texas? Non-racing, racing, anything. When you think of Texas, what do you think about that you enjoy the most?
Well, I would say that I'm probably a huge barbecue food fan. So probably the food. I think anywhere in the South is good. Alabama's the same, different style than here, but still, probably the food is really good. And I mean, this race has become fun for us. I will say, as a driver, this race wasn't fun 5 years ago. It was just nerve-wracking. When you ran in the packs of cars, it was nerve-wracking. But it's pretty enjoyable now to come here. It's a great place. I think Eddie does a great job, and the facility here. I don't know if too many other tracks have this. So it's pretty nice.
I think we have a question over there.
Yeah, so what do you think about the shitty engines and the new chassis as opposed to until they're so used to?
Yeah, the engine thing's great. Unfortunately Chevy's come in and kind of, put it to us pretty tough. And Honda, the biggest storyline that I think probably a lot of people in here know, but the Honda is a single turbo, the Chevrolet has a twin. The twin in many cases is better. It's just more efficient. Like today in qualifying, I think they swept the top 3 spots. At Indianapolis in qualifying, they just destroyed us. But that's part of it. I think the new race car is pretty good. It's allowed us, I know all of them look the same, but it's allowed us to really race close together. And it's improved not only in the road or on the ovals, but the road course racing has gotten significantly better for us. That's going to change the next couple of years. You're going to see new aero kits come in, so a Chevrolet car will look one way, a Honda will look another. You might see some other manufacturers come in, but I think overall it's been really good.
I'll ask. I got one more, sorry, Graham. The the 2-race setup, like at Detroit, are you a fan of that? It seems like that, especially a road race, that's hard on you guys.
Well, it's extremely physical for us. One 250-mile road race is far more physically demanding than a 500-mile oval race. So without a doubt, it was tough. It's not only tough on the drivers, but the teams. That's a lot of racing to happen one weekend. But am I a fan of it? Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
Really?
I thought it was great. For the fans that come to the race, it's twice the amount of racing for your, your bang for your buck is significantly higher. And that's the way I look at it, really from a fan's perspective. It's a great thing, you know, and I don't see, I would think on a lot of road courses on into the future we could do it. You know, to do it on an oval like this is harder because if something went wrong the first day, it's pretty difficult to recover for the next. But on a road course, generally, if you have a crash, it's not as big as it would be here. But I thought it was a great thing. Questions?
On the side.
Yes.
You're from New Albany? Yeah. When you started racing, my wife wants to know if you're a Buckeye. I am a Buckeye. Yeah. Woo-hoo. Yeah. You're a Wolverine? Oh, man. Man. You're killing me. But yes. Well, actually, over the last 10 years, we've been killing you, I think. Yeah, I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and I grew up racing right there in go-karts when I was 10, and kind of just came up through the ranks there. There was a couple little go-kart tracks in and around, you know, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. There was, and then the OVKA, as they call it, the Ohio Valley Karting Association, there was, you know, several races that kind of went throughout the states. But, and then, you know, quickly I progressed and started to do more, you know, on the National Karting Association or WKA, all these things. So we used to race in California and go-kart all over the place. But yeah, I mean, I lived in Columbus all my life until 2 years ago I moved to Indy because it's, you know, for us Indy is much like Charlotte is for NASCAR. Everybody's based there. It's just quite frankly it's easier.
Another question?
Graham, this year we witnessed probably the most competitive race in Indy in its history. How do you feel the aero packages for next year will impact racing?
Well, that's a good point. I think, quite frankly, this year so far, it's probably been the most competitive form of racing anywhere worldwide. I mean, we've got a lot of different winners. There's been a lot of different podium finishers. The points are still like all over the place. You know, Will Power, who basically everybody thinks dominates the sport. I think he's 20th in points, or maybe even worse than that. So it's, you know, it's pretty crazy right now in the sport. How will the aero kits affect that? I mean, I do think that it will take away. It should spread the competition out a little bit. But at the same time, what we need as a sport is development. What separated IndyCar from most other sports was innovation. And so we kind of need to find, even with the way that we run the engines, the turbo engines, the reason we did that is because, number one, they're more fuel efficient, number two, it relates to what's in the road car. If you look at, you know, like Cadillac has a CTS now with a 6-cylinder turbo, which is based on this IndyCar engine. So we're trying to do things that relate to the modern road car. So how can we increase fuel mileage and everything else by developing aero kits? That's what we have to do. But do I think it's going to make it more competitive? I can't say that I personally feel that way. I think it might spread things out a little bit, but we need change. You know, we need to make it so. You know, for the fans, a lot of fans, or maybe you're not this way, but a lot of fans want to see things that look different. They don't like that all the cars look the same other than the paint schemes. But with that change may come a little bit more of a wide open field. However, it may come with more cars, more money in the sport, hopefully, more you know, the sponsors and the manufacturers promoting the sport more. So it all is good, you know, it's just kind of how the puzzle pieces fall together.
Thank you. I have one more question for you, then I want to give you 2 minutes to sign hero cards. You got a new boss this year. So what's it like driving for your new boss? And maybe some of the fans don't know who your new boss is this year. You went from Ganassi, and who you driving for this year?
Yeah, I mean, this year I drive for my dad. I drive for a guy you probably never heard of called David Letterman. And another guy you definitely haven't heard of named Mike Lanigan, but don't worry about him. He's kind of like he's the powerhouse behind it all. But You know, it's been good fun. I think, you know, with my dad, of course, there's high expectations. We want to win. Dave is the same. I mean, Dave's passion is IndyCar racing. He's from Indianapolis. And he's been with us quite a lot this year. But I've enjoyed it. It's been a good switch for me. You know, life at Ganassi was fun at times, but there were a lot of times there wasn't so much. And at the end of the day, when you're doing a sport that's as competitive, some of the dangers as high as it is, you need to be enjoying yourself. And you need to in anything you do in life. But it's been nice for me. And you know, there's a lot of perks with my sponsors. There's a lot, you know, with Dad and I together, and of course Dave on top of that. There's a lot of media interest in that, so it's all in all, it's a good thing.
Graham, thank you. Everyone give Graham the Graham applause.